this episode of Future Wisdom Podcast, Satanic Warlock Robert Shirley discusses chivalry for the modern warlock and is joined by a very special guest. You are listening to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to passing on knowledge and experience from a satanic perspective, hosted by Satanic Warlock Robert Shirley.
Welcome to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Satanic Warlock Robert Shirley, and in today's episode, we'll be dealing with chivalry for the modern-day warlock. I'm both nervous and excited by today's guest because not only does she know me very well, but she's also not afraid to call BS on me if she disagrees. What are we calling you for this? Do you have a name yet? No? Oh, well, do you think you could come up with one before your time starts? Okay. We'll get to our very special guest in a few minutes, but first I wanted to read an essay from my upcoming book entitled Kill Your Own Spiders, Ladies, Chivalry for the Married Warlock. I should note here that this applies to all relationships, straight, gay, or whatever. I'm speaking male to female because that's what I'm most familiar with. However, this can be applied to all situations. You might agree or disagree with my points, but one thing's for sure, my special guest will most certainly have a few things to say on this topic. Kill your own spiders, ladies. Chivalry for the married warlock. We're all familiar with the concept of chivalry, whether it is the behavior of a noble knight of old or the image of Sir Walter Raleigh putting his coat over a puddle for a lady. Chivalry is generally recognized as men showing special courtesies to women. This includes pulling out chairs, opening doors, allowing women to go first, etc. Today's feminists and social justice warriors see chivalry as outdated and misogynistic. I myself find it odd that women feel disrespected and diminished by men simply being nice to them, but I digress. I show respect and common courtesy to all I interact with. If they deserve it, do unto others as they do unto you. Unfortunately, this is something I feel is sorely lacking in today's society. As a warlock, I also realize this is part of my lesser magic. Magister Dr. Robert Johnson's Satanic Warlock makes specific reference to chivalry. See, women always come first. Chivalry is devilishly attractive. This is an excellent guideline for all gentlemen as to how they should behave on a date, especially at the beginning of a relationship. First impressions are important, and the getting to know you phase of a relationship can be the make or break point to moving forward. But what about the warlock who has been in a committed relationship for some time? The type of relationship where the two people are completely comfortable with each other. I'm talking the farting in front of each other, I don't have to impress you phase. Is chivalry dead at this point? Spoiler alert, it isn't. The Satanic Warlock understands that being a gentleman and chivalrous is a way of life. It is part of our warlock self and lesser magic. It must be practiced until it becomes second nature. Regardless of how long the two of you have been together, it is never too late to show your significant other some chivalrous behavior. Note, if you have not been in the habit of being chivalrous with your significant other, they are going to have no idea what's going on. Expect comments like, "What the hell are you doing?" when you start. I speak from experience. So where do you start? There are plenty of guidelines written on this subject. Although these guidelines are applicable in all situations and relationships, these are mostly targeted at single people. When we've been in a relationship for a longer period, our chivalrous acts begin to look a little different. For example, I've been married for 25 years, and the following is what I find works for me. Surprise her with good manners. Hold the door for her, pull out her chair, open the car door, help her with her coat. Stand up when she comes to the table. Social etiquette not only goes a long way for yourself and your partner personally, but it is also very noticeable by others around you. After all, when was the last time you saw a man help a woman with her coat? I've had strangers comment to us on the way out of a restaurant when I've done this for my wife. Hold her purse. Oh, I hate this one, but I do it, and so should you. She'll definitely appreciate it. Wait while she shops. You don't have to disappear while she's looking for her next outfit, no matter how much you might want to. Stick around, offer her your opinions. She'll be flattered and happy that you're offering your input. Don't take her for granted. Does she wash your underwear, cook, clean, mow the lawn? Even if you share these chores, remember that you could be doing these by yourself. Take the time to appreciate your partner. Turn off your phone. Have conversations. When you're out at a restaurant or some other gathering, put the damn phone away. Show interest in your partner. Pretend it's 1984 and cell phones weren't a thing yet. Talk to each other. You never know. You might learn something. Listen. Now that your phone is off, shut your mouth and open your ears. Your partner probably has a lot to say, whether they realize it or not. Practice active listening and the art of having a conversation. Do the little things. Cook a meal, do the dishes, do the laundry, walk the dog. Hey, make her a sandwich. The little things do not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Don't bitch. Quit your whining. Your partner has her own issues and things she worries about, just like you do. The last thing anyone wants to hear is you whining about anything. Does she want you to hold her purse? Shut up. Does she want you to go shopping with her? Shut up. Do you have to go to your in-laws for a visit? Shut up. If you do have something to complain about, phrase it in the context of a conversation. Perhaps your partner can offer you some insight about a solution, or she'll tell you to shut up. I don't know. Chivalry is not dead, but it can look different in a long-term relationship situation. The warlock knows that chivalry is part of being a gentleman, and he will go to great lengths to show proper consideration to his partner. Well, except for the spiders. Ladies, you're on your own with that one. We don't have to do everything. I think this is a good time to take a break. When we come back, we will welcome our very special guest to provide some input. Did you figure something out yet? You did? Oh, okay. We'll name her and let you know who she is after the break.
You are listening to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. For comments, questions, or suggestions, email devilishgentleman71@gmail.com.
Elevate your style with the epitome of sophistication and charm. Introducing the Warlock Emporium, where fine craftsmanship meets timeless design. It's not just an accessory, it's a statement of your impeccable taste. My high-quality clothing, jewelry, business accessories, and home decor aren't just additions to your lifestyle, they're conversation starters. So please visit me at thewarlockemporium.com today, because being a gentleman never goes out of style.
And we are back here on the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. As promised, we're all in for a real treat today. Our special guest is an expert in all things Robert Shirley, and rightfully so. She's going to provide a female perspective on our topic today, and should I live long enough after this podcast, I might even have her on again. Coming to us all the way from the main floor of the palatial Neutral Wisdom Estates in the middle of beautiful Nowhere, Canada. Please welcome Mrs. Neutral Wisdom herself, Miz Wiz. That's it. That's what you came up with.
Well, I don't know. I heard something about Cheese Whiz at some point, and that name was already taken.
Okay, Miz Wiz it is then, I guess.
Come on, it's cute.
Yeah, okay. So it is a pleasure to have you here today, all the way from upstairs. And just for our audience, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what's your background? What do you do? Are you a Satanist as well? What makes Miz Wiz tick?
Well, like many of us, I grew up in the mid-70s in a small French Catholic town to a small French Catholic woman and a very narcissistic Catholic father. So if that's not a good combination for you, I don't know what is. I grew up in a fairly balanced but very sheltered home. And though I never felt specifically unloved or undervalued, I also never felt very pressured to achieve or push my boundaries. So though that made me feel pretty protected as a young kid, I also learned later in life that it was quite a limitation. So it's something that I actually battle to this day. I never really went without. We were not well off, but I pretty much had everything that I needed. That said, I still went through a pretty rebellious stage in my teens, as I'm sure most of us do. I had absolutely nothing to rebel against, but like most teens, just found some sort of joy out of pushing back against absolutely anything I could find. I found I was attracted to darker things, louder music, stranger people, which may explain us, Rob.
Hey.
But I left all that in my teens, and I grew up to be a ridiculously normal and boring adult. I turned my back on the Catholic Church in my preteens, even though I firmly believed growing up that Catholicism was the one and only religion. I had no idea growing up that there are other cultures and other belief systems to choose from. And like anything that you truly, truly believe in and at some point give up on, it's very difficult to try to find yourself in that stage. So, though I didn't go back to the church, I definitely needed something. And I figured I don't want to go back to being brainwashed in the church, so I might as well hook up with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, good call. No brainwashing there.
No, I mean, if you're going to do something stupid, go all the way, right?
Don't half-ass anything. Use your whole ass. Okay.
you know, I jump all in. It didn't last long, but it was an awakening for me when I suddenly realized that I jumped from the frying pan right into the fire, and it wasn't at all what I was looking for. Really, for me, anything organized by people is going to have an agenda and ultimately be flawed. And it just goes against my inner belief system. So I went on my own way and stuck to what felt good to me, which was always kind of the more earthy belief systems. So indigenous beliefs with a little bit of witchcraft thrown in, maybe a lot of witchcraft thrown in. But that gave me a great sense of peace, that I didn't need to have to ask permission to believe things and do things. I didn't have rules that were established by someone else to follow. I just followed my own moral compass and I just did what felt right for me. As for Satanism, I don't find anything offensive or scary about it. In fact, I find it takes a very open-minded and mature individual to see it for what it is. And if I were to ascribe to any particular religion, it's probably the one that I would feel most in tune with. I kind of feel like I'm a bit of a Satanist without actually officially being one.
You're more of a Satanist than many people that I know. So, you could take that as a compliment.
I appreciate that very much. In any case, I can say that I'm incredibly grateful to have Satanism in my life, as it's made you, sir, a much more pleasant, peaceful, and balanced individual. And it's only strengthened our relationship and makes us stronger partners. So, hail Satan.
Thank you very much. Yes, hail Satan, 100%. So what's it like living with a Satanist? I mean, most of the people that, I've introduced you to are Satanists. How do you find Satanists are different from the average Joe?
You know what? To be honest, I don't find them different at all. In terms of just being personable, intelligent people that I can relate to and have just a good, honest conversation with, I really, really appreciate those that come from that background. So I think that most people would be surprised at how normal Satanists actually are. I mean, yes, there's a lot of creative thinking. There's a lot of thinking outside the box. There's, activities that may be a little bit on the fringes of what you think would be normal, but overall, interesting people with a lot of interesting things to share. So
yeah, and they're everywhere, right? They could be sitting next to you on the bus. They could be in front of you.
You would never know.
You would never know, exactly. So if we go on a little bit to the topic of the day, I mean, you're overly familiar with me, more than I guess you would like to admit, but being familiar with me and my writing, I suppose you'd have a lot of input on today's topic of chivalry. So what do you think of the essay at the top of the program and chivalry in general?
I actually really appreciated your article, actually. I'm going to start by pointing out that I do not in any way speak for all women. To be honest, I don't actually consider myself a traditional feminist, though I do benefit and appreciate everything that has come from the women before me who have forged the way. But I have my own opinions about feminism that probably many members of my sex would likely rail against. But that just means that we're not all cut from the same cloth and we're not cookie cutter versions of each other, which just makes things more difficult for you men, but also makes things that much more interesting, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'll speak for myself, and I will say I enjoy being treated well, which I think most women people would say. I don't mind having a door opened for me. I don't love having someone stand up when I come to the table. Now, that's probably because I just don't like being the center of attention. I Don't mind having my purse held. My purse gets heavy. Please hold it for me. Hanging out with me while I shop is okay sometimes. Other times, I'd rather be on my own. Turning off one's phone is absolutely huge, and that goes for everybody. Ladies, too, turn off your phones. I mean, Rob, when you and I are out, do we have our phones out? We're probably the only couple in the restaurant that have our phones put away. It's incredible when you look around and you just see all of these distracted people. I don't even know why they're there together half the time.
Well, exactly.
They're not having conversations. They're not looking at each other. It's quite sad. So for me, that's rule number one. There's nothing that's going to kill a mood more than a phone in front of somebody's face. You mentioned in your essay about doing the little things. And I have to ask you, Rob, what was the thing that got my heart aflutter the other night that you did for me?
I brought you your menopause pills.
You betcha, baby.
Those pills are more for me than for you, sister. Let me tell you.
You're making sure I take them.
That's right.
But seriously, it's those little things. And it touched me. It touched me that you brought my little glass of water and my 2 little pills. And it was just a selfless act. Maybe not quite so selfless, but the fact that you thought of me, making sure that I get my pills in before bedtime because I keep forgetting them. Those things matter. They don't have to be, huge, grandiose productions. Just showing the person, and even, you didn't do it to show me you care, and yet that's how I took it. So it's just about caring, thinking about more than just yourself. You also mentioned don't bitch, which is something I would generally agree with. But in reality, we all need to bitch now and then, men too. So women don't necessarily need a superhero that keeps everything bottled up inside. I mean, she'd rather actually hear about what's going on. Bitching might be a little extreme, especially if you're, talking about something that there can't be a resolution to.
Are you giving me permission? Is that what I'm gathering here?
Okay,
I'm allowed?
No.
Oh, okay.
I specifically said if there's no resolution. So let's not talk about the little boys in their big trucks anymore.
Okay, got it.
Copy and one other rule. If she's already bitching, wait your damn turn. Eventually she'll stop.
Eventually.
Then you can bitch. So really, I'm not going to lie, women are complicated and it doesn't make your job easy. I don't envy you at all. Really, what one woman likes, another might hate, and what one thinks is sweet, another may take as completely condescending. But in realizing this, it could help determine who the right woman is for you and who you want to be in a perfect relationship. So I think bottom line, it's really important to be sincere. If it feels right to you and you feel good doing it, then go for it. And if she doesn't like it, she just may not be right for you.
That's a good segue, actually, because I was going to ask you if, in your opinion, are men today making mistakes in the area of chivalry? What are they doing wrong? If it feels right to the guy and it's wrong, what kind of is a red flag for you, knowing you don't speak for women in general, but what would be a red flag?
So as you know, motivation for me is everything. And if you're doing it for the show, if you're doing it for anyone other than the woman herself, you're probably erring on the side of mistake. Motivation is key, and women are really savvy. They're going to see through the insincerity of an action. You have to keep in mind, too, that there's a collective consciousness from generations of women being treated as the weaker sex. So you need to contend with that as well. You may be opening the door to be kind, but she could be thinking, what the hell? You don't think I can open my own door? So you really need to take the time to get to know your partner, get a feel for her. And that in itself is chivalry, just taking that time. And if you do something and it's not to her liking, even if you do it from a place of sincerity, she will likely appreciate it. You'll get brownie points anyways. But I do want to point out something from your essay that we did not cover. taking care of spiders. That's a non-negotiable, sir. I'll do the dishes. You take care of the spiders.
No way. You're a big girl. You can take care of your own damn spiders.
Not when they're on the ceiling.
Well, if I was going to be building on that, is there anything today that you feel is antiquated in terms of chivalry? Is there anything that you think no longer needs to be done?
I think that's a tough one, to be honest. In my mind, chivalry brings up thoughts of black and white movies where men helped women out of cars and gave them their coats in the cold. I mean, they still put things like that in movies today. And I always think to myself, who's going to give him a jacket now that he's cold? But on the other hand, if I'm outside and I'm cold, Rob, give me your damn jacket.
Yeah, well, I always do, because you always are. There's no arguing, and I can't bitch about it, apparently. So we're at least on the same page now.
You can bitch about it a little bit so long as I haven't started bitching first.
Okay.
Really, I would consider something antiquated if it's demeaning. I think that really is what it comes down to. There's always going to be differences between what women like and what women don't like. But in terms of antiquated, don't assume that I can't handle taking the heavy bag of dog food out of the trunk, for example, but offer to help me, and I just might appreciate that. So though I can speak for most women when I say that none of us want to be treated as though we're weak or less than without you, but offer us your support and we'll come around to that for sure.
Okay, so I guess my next question to you then is, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, so I knew you were going to go there.
That's right. Is there anything chivalrous that a woman can or should be doing for a man? And what's acceptable these days? Now, put up or shut up. Okay, here we go.
This is a completely selfish question right here, because I will be quite honest. You are the romantic of this relationship, and I suck at this.
There you have it. Recorded proof. All right.
Okay, though, let me ask you this. Would you like it if I planned a date night for us?
Well, of course I would. I have no problem with you taking the lead on some things.
And what if I brought you flowers?
I think that would be very nice.
And if I opened the car door for you?
Oh, I'd wonder what I did to deserve all this great treatment.
What if I gave you a gift for no reason?
Yes, please. I don't like where this is going.
What if I stood when you came to the table?
You are not the dude, okay? I don't like where this is going at all.
So yeah, when I start putting your coat on for you, then you can definitely stand up and tell me to back off.
Well, and this was Miz Wiz's last appearance on the Neutral Wisdom podcast.
But this is exactly my point. What's acceptable is completely dependent on the couple and their level of open-mindedness. So clearly you're not completely open-minded. I think women can be chivalrous.
Well, I'll be waiting for damn flowers on Saturday night. I'll tell you that.
Gosh, yeah. This is a double-edged sword right here.
Well, I think I'm feeling sufficiently beat up now. Is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know about today's topic or discussion, advice, tips, anything like that?
Clearly, I'm the wrong person to give tips on chivalry from a woman's perspective. And that said, I do challenge women out there in my situation to go out and have a little bit of fun and test this out. And if anybody out there, man or woman, has some chivalrous-like ideas to share, I would love to hear them, because I have a perfect subject here that I can test these things out on. So bring them on. Let's have some fun. Wink,
nice.
wink.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not sure if it's been a pleasure having you on the show now, but there you have it. Chivalry from a woman's perspective. And for the tens of female listeners out there, I'm sure you can tell that if she can put up with me, you can put up with your man too. So don't be afraid to kick your partner in the ass and let them know if they treat you differently, if not better than they are. It never hurts to try. And I think that about wraps it up for this episode of the Neutral Wisdom podcast. I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and thanks so much to Miz Wiz.
Miz Wiz.
Wow. Please drop a like or a comment down below. For questions or comments, you can email me directly at devilishgentleman71@gmail.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please check out my Instagram at neutral_wisdom and join the community on Locals at neutralwisdom.locals.com. Until next time, ever forward.
You have been listening to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. For more information, email us at devilishgentleman71@gmail.com or join the community on Locals at neutralwisdom.locals.com or Instagram at neutral_wisdom. Program copyright 2024, Devilish Gentleman Enterprises.